All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. The honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone to rule well. Peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect of Israel. All right, last lesson I got into the southern kingdom, so-called Negroes. All right, how they're the Israelites. They make up the Jews. And this lesson I'm going to get on to you other 9 tribes. Okay, because the tribe of Dan was basically done away with, so to speak. Okay, and that's not really much biblical anything on it. But in the book of Revelations chapter 7, it only mentions certain tribes. Okay, because there's 12 tribes of Israel right now. Okay, there's Judah, Benjamin, Levi, which is so-called Negroes, and then there's the other 9 tribes. Right, and I'm going to talk about these 9 tribes. Okay, which make up so-called Indians, okay, which now are known as so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Or not Negroes, Salakia. Well, I mean, there are people from the northern kingdom that are known as so-called Negroes, all right, because every Israelite back then really looked like a so-called black person with different shades and stuff, okay, but it mainly is the people, the northern kingdom is especially the people that call themselves so-called Latinos and so-called Native Americans, okay, but really so-called Indians. Like the Aztecs, Mayans, Incas, Taínos, North American Indians, etc. Okay, you are the Israelites of the northern kingdom. Okay, you make up the tribes of Ephraim, Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, Issachar, Reuben, Simeon, Naphtali. I know I'm forgetting some. Salakia, Ephraim, Manasseh, Naphtali, Zebulun, Asher, Reuben, Gad, Issachar, and then I don't know if I said Salakia. I know there's one more. Salakia, hold on, Salakia. Whoops. I know I'm missing, I said them all in the last video. Kind of slipping my mind here. Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, Zebulun, Gad, Reuben, Asher, Issachar, Naphtali. Alright? Which ignore that, it's saying scattered through Africa and stuff. That's going off. I mean, we're scattered all over the place. Okay, we're scattered all over. So, in the first video, we dealt with Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and now we're dealing with Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, Zebulun, Gad, Reuben, Asher, Issachar, Naphtali. All right, I'm pretty sure I said all of them. I just, you kind of forget which ones he said. All right, and the Israelites are scattered all over. Okay, but there's primary places where they are right now, but we're not going to go into that. Right now, we're going into to prove that northern kingdom is indeed the so-called Latinos and Native Americans. Okay, this is 2 Israel chapter 13, verse 39. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Manasseh, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. And they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. And where is that? The Americas, all right? North, Central, South America, and the Indies, like the Caribbeans, okay? Or Caribbeans, whichever way you pronounce it, all right? That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, okay? And just like the southern kingdom, the northern kingdom, constantly went off as well, and actually went off again, which is why this happened, okay? But yeah, the Israelites are scattered all over, okay? But there are specific places you can look at the 12 tribes chart where the Israelites are specifically that tribe. Like, for example, Ephraim is, a lot of that tribe is in Puerto Rico, and Manasseh, a lot of that tribe's in Cuba, etc., okay? But the Israelites are scattered all over, and even there's Israelites that look like heathens, but their patrilineal goes back to a tribe, okay? And There's just main dwelling places for specific tribes, okay? There are Israelites in Africa as well, but I know what that person was trying to say, and they're going off on that. All right? This is, so we can read from this. It's called the New World Holocaust, all right? This is going into the Spanish conquistadors, okay? Or conquistadores, all right? Conquistador is the word already. I was thinking of libertadores, I think, something like that. All right, but the conquistadors conquistador, Salakia. Conquistadors, they were the people that came over to the Americas and the Caribbeans, the Indies. Mainly, like South America and Central America and the Caribbeans, and they raped, robbed, and murdered the natives of those lands, okay? And that's why they speak Spanish today, okay? And they forced Catholicism on them, which Catholicism is a false religion, all right? So-called, Christianity doesn't deal with the Bible, first of all right? Christianity is worship of Serapis, all right? Catholicism is false, all right? And you Northern Kingdom Israelites, you better come out of that, man, all right? Jesus Christ goes back to Serapis Christus. The name of the Son is Yahushai, and he's a so-called black man according to the Bible. All right? It's negro. Okay? He's a so-called black man according to the Bible with white woolly hair. All right? And dark skin. Okay? And the Father's name is Yahweh, and he has woolly hair and dark skin as well. Okay? So this is, let's just read. Well, I can go through some of these things. Because basically, the stuff was from a book that was written by Bartolomé de las Casas, all right, which goes into the destruction of the Indies, okay? A brief destruction of the Indies, and it's covering what the conquistadors did to the Northern Kingdom Israelites, okay? And Christopher Columbus, or Cristobal Colon, all right, he actually found the Israelites by using the Apocrypha, the precepts that I read, okay? He used those to help him out. And also, Yahweh led him there because our people were disobedient, okay? And just like the Southern Kingdom got their share of punishment, so did the Northern Kingdom, okay? And a lot of people, don't really know about these types of things, especially in the United States, okay? The conquistadors, they would mutilate. They would, have competitions to see who could chop up people, or kill somebody with one blow. They would force them into slavery. They would rape, rob, and murder them, just like they did so-called Negroes. Because the conquistadors are Edomites, all right, just like the people that were slave masters to the Southern Kingdom, right? They're all Edomites, okay. And you so-called Latinos and Native Americans need to understand that so-called Negroes are your brethren. Okay, you're the same people. Okay, you've been separated, and you may look a little different, but you're the same people, man. All right, you're the same people. And you'll realize that, which is why you all go through the same struggles, the same type of things, because you're the same people. All right, there's a lot of so-called Negroes out there in America that don't realize the things that the conquistadors did or ever even heard of the conquistadors. All right, and there's so-called Latinos that hardly know anything about what these Edomite slave masters or plantation owners did to the so-called Negroes, all right? You have a lot in common. You're the same people, okay? The same people. And also, Cristobal Colon, or Christopher Columbus, he actually brought Hebrew translators on him to the Indians, okay? Because they spoke Hebrew, which is why you look at things like the Los Lunas stone and other, there's a lot of different stones that have Hebrew writings on them in the Americas. Why? Because you're the Israelites, okay? You're the Israelites. There's also Chief Joseph, which was a Native American, North American, North American so-called Indian, okay, and he had a Assyrian tablet stone, with like Hebrew writing, I think, on it, and he had a flag with a Assyrian flag symbol on it, because the Northern Kingdom was in the Assyrian captivity, and like it said, they fled. Or not necessarily fled, but they were taken into a different land, and they decided to leave the heathen, and they went further into a land where no one's dwelt before, which was the Americas, right? Especially like South America, okay? And conquistadors, they were brought over to you to punish you. Okay? They fed us to dogs. They beat us senseless, man. They raped our women. They smashed our baby's head into the stones. And all these things happened to the so-called Negroes also. Why? Because we're the same people and we went through the same punishments because we're under the same curses. Okay? And I'll leave this website in the description box. I have not really read much about it, but I have read many of the accounts that Fray Bartolomé de las Casas wrote about the atrocities committed to the so-called Indians. Okay? Because Latino and Hispanic are just titles. All right, just bywords. So is Indian, but Latino and Hispanic can be put on anybody born in a Latin country. Okay? Let me read through some of these since I read the titles of the other ones. I'll read the titles of these ones. I'll start right here. As the Spaniards went with their war dogs hunting down Indian men and women, it happened that a sick Indian woman who could not escape from the dogs sought to avoid being torn apart by them in this fashion. She took a cord and tied her year-old child to her leg, and she hanged herself from a beam. But the dogs came and tore the child apart before the creature expired. However, a friar baptized it. They would cut an Indian's hands and leave them dangling by a shred of skin, and they would test their swords and their manly strength on captured Indians, and place bets on the slicing off of heads or the cutting of bodies in half with one blow. One cruel captain traveled over many leagues, capturing all the Indians he could find, since the Indians would not tell him who their new lord was. He could cut off the hands of some. He cut off the hands of some and threw others to the dogs, and thus they were torn to pieces. The Spanish treated the Indians with such rigor and inhumanity that they seemed the very ministers of hell, driving them day and night with beatings, kicks, lashes, and blows, and calling them no sweeter names than dogs. Women who had just given birth were forced to carry burdens for the Christians, and thus could not carry their infants because of the hard work and weakness of hunger. Infinite numbers of these were cast aside on the road and thus perished. All right? And you can read the rest of these, man. I've read through these. All right? And, there's hell is a condition, all right? And this is hell. Okay? He's actually right. What he said was heavy. Okay? Because he was talking about a place where you burn forever. That's not what hell is. All right? Heaven and hell in the Bible are conditions. Okay, hell also can be talking about the grave. The Israelites, for going off, we are in hell right now, and this is an example of being in hell. All right, I actually had a picture real quick that I can pull up. Salakia, let me find it. Written in the book, A Brief Destruction of the Indies, right here. By see right there, a brief account of the destruction, and then it'd say of the Indies by Bartolomé de las Casas. All right, and it says right here, I desire therefore that the readers who have or shall peruse these passages would please seriously to consider whether or no such barbarous, cruel, and inhumane acts as these do not transcend and exceed all the impiety and tyranny which can enter into the thoughts or imagination of man, and whether these Spaniards deserve not the name of devils, for which of these two things is more eligible or desirable, whether the Indians should be delivered up to the devils themselves to be tormented, or the Spaniards. That is still a question. All right, he's implying that the Spaniards, the conquistadors, that they are devils. Okay, and why is that? Because they're the Edomites, all right, and their blessing is the sword. And just like your brethren from the southern kingdom, the so-called Negroes, they had to go. They had to be punished by the Edomites as well. Okay, the Edomites raped, robbed, and murdered the southern and the northern kingdom Israelites. Okay, whether it was plantation owners, and British or English or, whoever, or whether it was conquistadors, Portuguese, which that, they can be conquistadors as well. Okay, you see? So-called white man collectively, other than the confusion of face Israelites, which once again is somebody that looks like a different nation, but their father's patrilineal, which means their father's seed line, goes back to an Israelite. They are an Israelite. Okay? But other than that, collectively, the so-called white man is Esau, Edom of the Bible, and he did these things to our people, the southern and the northern kingdom. Okay? So let's head to Deuteronomy 28. Because the scriptures, there's a lot of scriptures that are many-fold. Okay, so this is one. Well, first let me read this. Verse 15. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Okay, which is exactly what happened. Okay, now let me read this. Well, let me read this too. Verse 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither Yahweh shall lead thee. All right, and this goes in. These curses are put on the southern and northern kingdom. Okay, which is why we all, as Israelites, went into slavery. We all were called different racial slurs and given names like black and Negro and Latino, Hispanic, Indian. Those are all bywords. Okay, to cover up who we really are. All right. Verse 45, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. All right? Verse 49, and Yahweh, there's no and there, Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. All right, and this scripture can be manifold, but we're using this scripture right now for the conquistadors. All right, the Edomites, because the Edomites, their symbol is an eagle. All right, and they came with with a tongue known as Spanish. All right, so our people didn't understand what the hell they were saying. All right, and they actually would yell at our people, and our people would have no idea what they were saying, and they would basically make threats. They'd say, "Do this or do that, or I'm going to kill you," and they count down, or they keep giving them warnings. But our people wouldn't understand, so they wouldn't act because they don't know what the hell they're saying. And then they get chopped up, or they get beat, or they get fed to dogs, man. All right, that's the Edomites for you. All right, the so-called white man, the devil. All right, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. All right, they don't care if you're an elderly man or woman. They didn't care if you were a newborn baby. They would smash your head against the rocks, or they'd feed you to dogs. Okay? And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kine, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. All right, and look at Gad, Reuben, and Issachar. All right, so-called Native Americans, so-called Seminole Indians, and so-called Mexicans. All right, they stole your land, all right, your food, and they raped, robbed, and murdered you. All right. They came into your land and they took it, and now they're calling you immigrants, or they're acting you like you're the you're the outcast, you're the illegal immigrant, you're the disease or the parasite, when they're the ones that came in and destroyed your land and took it from you. Okay, but America is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles in the near future. Okay, so the Israelites altogether, southern and northern kingdom, make up so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Right, specifically that of so-called Negro and Indian descent. Okay, so with that said, this is basically all I wanted to bring out. Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. All right. I mean, the curses are upon all of us. Okay. Which you can watch my last lesson. One, I'm going to put up two. I'm going to put up the message, or a message to, so-called African Americans or whatever I may title it. And this is a message to so-called Latinos and Hispanics. All right, let me read these precepts first to prove to you as well that the Yahweh and his son Yahushua, Yahweh being the name of God and Yahushua the name of his son, are both so-called black men. Okay, this is Daniel 7:9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. Who has woolly hair? So-called Negroes. All right, his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Okay, let's get Revelations 1:13-15. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. All right. So Yahweh and Yahweh, all right, God and his son, es negro, all right, so-called Negroes, okay? So, Lord willing, this is edifying of the elect. All right, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. And once again, like I told like I told the Southern Kingdom, you Northern Kingdom Israelites, you can go to, GMS, because they're the ones that teach the truth, and people that have that teach the same doctrine, which is the true doctrine of the Bible of Yahweh Shemel Shai. You can go on the YouTube channel. Yahweh Shai is coming back. He has videos. That's the one I think of, right away, because he has a lot of videos of relics and proving, that so-called Latinos and Native Americans are Israelites as well. Okay, that's just one example, but there's a lot of brothers, all right, in GMS and that teach the same doctrine in GMS that have videos like this. Okay, and there's a lot of relics and proof out there, but this just kind of gets you kick-started. All right, so dumb honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone to rule well. Peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful, elect of Israel. All right, keep pushing. Okay, and repent to Yahweh Shemel Shai. Come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments, which is the reason why you're in this position in the first place, because you were disobedient. We were disobedient as a nation. All right, Shalom.